Is Juan Soto still a superstar for fantasy baseball? Will Trea Turner turn his season around? Join us today where we provide you with the best players to trade for and away heading into the All-Star break on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Sports Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, here as always with my best friend, my partner in crime, my co-host, Matthew Arnett.
Yo, what's up, guys?
You can find us on all social media platforms and podcasting apps. Just search for Locked On Fantasy Baseball and we'll be there. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows us 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. It helps a long way to grow the podcast, and it's just, very, very helpful to us in general. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It subscribes you to the channel, also gives you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And lastly, but most importantly, subscribe to us on the Subtext website. On Subtext, it's a one-on-one personalized, in-depth experience through text messaging. You'll get alerts for injuries, call-ups, all that fun stuff, and then just more in-depth analysis of fantasy baseball. We go deeper with our, episodes like this, a lot more players on waiver wire and that fun stuff. But guys, as always, we have a fully loaded episode for you. Let's be your team secret weapon, where we provide you with the best players to trade for and away heading into the All-Star break. And Matt, we got a superstar up first. I don't know anymore. Matt, what do you think?
I still think he is. I didn't pick this name, Mr. Juan Soto. I'm a Juan Soto owner and a truther here. I'm not ready to give up on him. I don't believe you should be, selling high on him. Unless you're going to get like some crazy name. Like, I won't give him up for like a Spencer Strider and something, truthfully. Like, I would need an overwhelming, offer in order to get him. Now, the other thing is, too, you may be in a position where you've lost a couple players and you're not able to recover. Then, yeah, you could sell high on Juan Soto, which is really just more like going out and getting a bunch of like 3 players for one that's going to equal up to his one production, but you're filling holes. Like, that's the only time I think I'd move him if I'm in a really bad position in a redraft where I need to fill multiple positions because they're just not cutting it. Somebody will give you a haul for Juan Soto just the same way the Padres did, quite honestly. But here's the thing, and here's the reason why I'm not selling high, and, Dom will tell you otherwise. Last year was just a pathetic year. It sucked really bad. And everybody's focusing on. But other than that, 2021, he had a massive year. He had a really good year, quite honestly. And it's funny, he's more of a second half kind of type player. In the first half of 2021, he had 272 at-bats, 54 runs. He had 9 doubles, a triple, 11 home runs, 42 ribbies, 5 stolen bases, and he batted a whopping 283. Now, you say he's the second half player. That's pretty good, right? Here's the second half. 230 at-bats, 57 runs, 11 doubles, a triple, 18 home runs, 53 ribbies, and batted a whopping 348 batting average. Juan Soto, I think, is somebody that's more of a second-half player. Last year, I don't think we got to see that second level because he got traded midseason at the trade deadline. So I really feel that kind of played into a lot of the fact that where we could have seen a giant increase in that stat line, even though he wasn't playing hard on a diminished and atrocious Washington Nationals team. So I feel like Juan Soto is about to take it to the next level. So if anything, if somebody's willing to go and move him and they're offering you for like a 3-for-1 deal, depending on how extreme it is, maybe you take it. Maybe you try and, give up a little bit to get that upside of Juan Soto. And if he bounces back, you're gold. In dynasty leagues, it would take a hell of a lot to get him off my hands. I don't think he's even tradable in that. And in keeper leagues, it would be very hard for me to move on from him. I'll be honest. It would take a lot as well. So that's just my feeling on Juan Soto. I know Dom feels different. So let's hear the other side of the coin.
Yeah. I mean, I still think Juan Soto is a good player, but do I think he's a first round talent still as far as fantasy baseball goes? I'm really unsure. So I know Matt brought up that monster 2021, but I want to focus on more of what we've seen over the last 2 years, one including this year, right? So in his last 243 games, which spans 833 at bats, he's only hitting 251 over that time. And if we do like average stats, like what it would average out to, on let's say like 100 and 35 game pace, he would have 72 runs, 23 homers. He would average about 6 steals with that, 251 batting average. And it's just that that's not blowing me away. That's not, amazing. So what Matt was saying, that he would need like a strider. I still think in a redraft league, you can pull off a trade and I would do this. I would take, if I had Juan Soto in like a redraft, I would take Ellie De La Cruz in like a top, 20 pitcher for Juan Soto at this point, because I think Ellie De La Cruz is, proving kind of already at this point through such a short amount of time that he's a very, very high-end player. He's going to give you the steals. He can hit home runs. I think that Reds lineup is getting a lot better. And Soto just feels like he has kind of fallen from grace at this point. I'm willing to take the risk on get me the guy that's getting it done right now. The production that, is pretty much almost guaranteed. Like I said, if you can get yourself a top, 20 type pitcher that has been, doing well this year, plus a young gun like an Ellie De La Cruz or, who else would I even take for like a Juan Soto at this point? I mean, you probably can't get anybody too crazy, but I would say like that, somebody that's younger, that's, doing very well, that's performing. And I would see if I can get a package deal for Soto and kind of just find my way out. As Matt said, a dynasty and keeper might be a little bit more of a different situation, but I still think if you can get a haul for him, if you can get, like very, very good pitcher, very, very good young talent bat, maybe, even you throw in something else in the dynasty or keeper league, I'd probably even do that at this point because I'm just unsure about what Soto's future holds at this point. I know he's still young at 24 years old, but I got to see him bounce back, man. It's kind of just been a disappointment over the last 2 years for Soto. But you know what? That's the both sides of the coin, as Matt said here with Juan Soto. I do want to keep things moving on, though. That's enough Soto talk for now. Let's move on to a starting pitcher that I think you can get a lot for at this moment, too, and it's Mitch Keller. Now, with Mitch Keller, he's kind of been up and down so far this year. On the season, his numbers do look pretty stellar. On the year, he's got that 3.31 ERA. He's got the 9 wins. A lot of those 9 wins did come earlier in the season, though, when, the Pirates were doing their thing. 117 innings, 129 Ks. The whip is a 1.12. But you know what? Over the past couple of, months, he's kind of been slowing down a tiny little bit. The whip has gone a lot higher. The ERA is still pretty solid over the last few months. The strikeouts are decent too. Mitch Keller just doesn't really have the track record, that, I would like to see. He is still, fairly young at 27, and, he always did have the stuff to break out. I just don't think he maintains that kind of, ERA the rest of the way. I think it kind of inflates to like a high 3s ERA. Strikeouts are kind of legit, I think he keeps it over that K per 9, but I think the whip winds up coming up a little bit as well. His control isn't really super fantastic. So with Mitch Keller, we have a lot of guys saying that coming up in this episode that you want to stay tuned for that I would probably trade Mitch Keller for. So if you want to lock on in for the next episode or subscribe to us on Subtext for exact names and situations that, we can work out for Mitch Keller, then, either stay tuned or, if you want even deeper dive, subscribe to us on Subtext. But Matt, what's your thoughts on Mitch Keller here?
And you know what? I've always liked Mitch Keller. Last year, you guys saw me recommend him and said, he could be a possible deep sleeper where he just kind of comes out of nowhere and just goes off. I'm going to say this. I'm a big fan. I just don't know how real it is. But the one thing I will say is this is an opposite of a batter, right? We normally say, we don't buy the age 27 breakout. But at the same time, with pitchers, it's like the absolute opposite. I expect a breakout in age 27. So, I really do think that, something along the lines of this could be real. I also think that he might get traded at the deadline. So if he goes to another team, like a pitcher where like he ends up in Tampa and they love taking Pirates prospects and making them great, or ends up on the Dodgers or someplace like that where Mitch Keller can thrive, then absolutely. But, before we move on, We talk about a Baltimore pitcher, another pitcher we've been talking about, great, and a bat that, is well overperforming. Dom has somebody to talk about.
Yeah, guys, so today's episode is sponsored by the clothing company Bird Dogs. Looking for clothes that redefine comfort and style? Look no further than Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs make sure you look good in Bird Dogs stretch khaki shorts that are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh, giving you a truly sculpted look. They fit way better than regular shorts that are made of a stiff, restricting cotton. Bird Dogs fixed this issue by inventing cloud knit fabric that looks just like khaki, but stretches so you can get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice any movement. Bird Dog uses an anti-stink sweat wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. Bird Dog shorts do the exact thing that Lululemons do, but they fit way better. A while back, Bird Dog sent Matt and I some shorts, and honestly, I know we've been wearing them all summer long, getting constant compliments, which led me to go out and say, hey, you know what? I got to get me some more Bird Dog shorts and, and shirts and all that fun stuff that they have. And once again, just constantly getting compliments on this Bird Dogs, clothing. They're a great company. So if you want to, do the same as Matt and I, go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB, and when you enter the promo code LockedOnMLB, they'll throw in a free custom Bird Dogs Yeti-style tumbler with every order. Shop Bird Dogs today. Then, everydayers and new listeners, we've got exciting news for you regarding our podcast. Matt and I are thrilled to introduce our new campaign on the Subtext website, where we'll be offering a personalized and in-depth experience just for you. By subscribing to Locked On Fantasy Baseball on the Subtext website and becoming a member of the exclusive Everydayers Diamond Club, you'll gain unlimited direct access to us through one-on-one texting conversations. As a part of the Diamond Club, you'll receive instant alerts and expert opinions on prospect call-ups, injuries, and detailed waiver wire recommendations. But that's not all. We'll also be promptly answering all your fantasy baseball questions and are here for you to talk about baseball whenever you want. Subscribing to our Subtext service will give you a significant advantage over your competition and greatly increase your chances of winning an Everydayers championship. You can find the link to subscribe in the description of this video, podcast, and on our link tree, which is available in all of our social media bios. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity. Sign up now for a free 14-day trial with Matt and I by your side. It will help you bring home that coveted Everydayers championship. Join us on Subtext today. But all right, Matt, as always, I think you experienced this yesterday, right? A lot of talking from me, my brother. So I'm going to pass the baton back to you, and let's talk about this next guy here.
Sounds good. Let's talk about Mr. Tyler Wells. Not Wells of the Flash, but Tyler Wells. Tyler Wells is somebody that has come out of left field for me. I really did not foresee him being this good whatsoever, and I don't foresee it sticking. Last year, my guy had a 4.25 ERA with a 4.52 FIP, which is fielding independent pitching, and it's more of a predicting stat. And on top of that, he's doing it this year. He has a 3.18 ERA with a 4.64 FIP. So he's well overperforming his actual production, and at any time, this bubble can pop. And what I feel you should do is, move him for something nice. Like Tyler Wells right now is the 27th ranked player overall in Yahoo in head-to-head categories, 5x5. So right now you could dump him for a pretty nice penny, and honestly, you should really consider it. If you need a bat and you're struggling and you need somebody a little influx, Tyler Wells is great because honestly, second half is here, and you could see a downward trend, like I keep saying here. So 100% trade Tyler Wells.
Yeah, Matt, that's a great take. I don't really have much to add for that. Besides, I agree with you very, very much so. Tyler Wells was not somebody we expected to be doing what he's doing. And I think on these episodes, our hit rate has been pretty high on guys telling you to get rid of before they bust. And I think Tyler Wells is going to have a very mediocre second half, at least not be as good as he is right now, But Matt, great take on Tyler Wells. So I'm just going to keep things pushing here, and I'm going to move on to our next guy. And I got to preface this because, if you kind of paid attention in the offseason, if you're here with us, Bailey Ober, who I'm going to talk about. Bailey Ober, somebody that I, kind of had some love for. I was talking about him being like a later round type of pick, and he's been fantastic so far. Another 27-year-old guy having a breakout year, 2.61 ERA, 14 starts, 82 innings, 79 Ks for Ober with a 0.96 whip. Now, the thing is, I do like Ober, and I like a lot of these guys we talked about. I like Soto. I like Keller. Maybe not so much Tyler Wells, but we're just saying strike while the iron's hot, strike while the opportunity's there, because you know what? If Ober gets blown up, if Keller gets blown up, if Wells gets blown up coming out of the All-Star break, the value kind of goes down. So maximize it now while it's high. With Soto, that's a whole nother story. We kind of gave some in-depth takes there, both sides of the coin with Soto. But with guys like this that, kind of weren't expected to do as good and, haven't really proven themselves yet, it's just best to go out there and get some guys that kind of have proven themselves that are going to turn it around and, get back to the mean of things. But with Ober, I do think he's still going to be solid. I just think, that 2.61 ERA compared to his FIP, which is a 3.39. If you're not familiar with FIP, it's fielding independent pitching, kind of an ERA indicator. It tells you where that ERA was probably headed to and, just a predictive stat. And I think it's going to be closer to a mid-threes ERA, so there's going to be some bad starts coming here for Ober. I think the whip goes back up to around this career, which is a 108. But Ober's still pretty good. If you can't get a good deal for him, maybe hold and just see where the situation goes. But if you can get, a nice little package for Bailey Ober, I think you go ahead and take care of that.
Yeah, no, great take, Dom. I actually genuinely can't, disagree at all. So great job. Let's move on to Mr. Lane Thomas. Lane Thomas is actually doing his thing this year. I mean, I really did not see this coming, especially at any player coming out of the Washington Nationals right now. But he's playing well above board. My guy has 60 runs on the season, 14 bombs, 49 ribs, 8 stolen bases, batting about 302. Like, I mean, this is great. Like, good for him, man. I'm very happy for him. But I'm here to pop some bubbles and, it really make some Washington National fans mad at me. But I mean, I really just don't foresee how he's even maintaining this. I mean, last year he couldn't really get it together in his short season. He didn't really even come close to this kind of production or on pace to hit 235 on the year. I mean, that was 2021. In 2022, he had 498 at bats. He had 62 runs through almost a full season, where he has 60 now, so he's well ahead pace. 26 doubles, 17 bombs, which is not too far off. 52 ribs and batting 241. Like, he's never had batting average, right? This is just clear. Like, he's hit right off 241, 235, 111, and in 2019 for St. Louis, which was ancient history by now, a 319. So there's no way he's coming back to that kind of production, which all this tells me is he's going to return to the mean, which means there's a lot of bad weeks ahead of you for Lane Thomas. So right now, I would say let's move on. Let's sell high and get whatever you can, because Lane Thomas is, again, ranked pretty high, 32 player overall in head-to-head category leagues. And you know what? You could probably get a really nice haul for him. Like, a lot of these buy low players that we're going to talk about in a minute, I think, quite honestly, you need to go and use Lane Thomas as one of the key cogs in the trade. It's going to take more than Lane Thomas to get a couple of these names, but do it now before these players bounce back and start really going crazy. And that's it for me on Lane Thomas, and sorry, National fans.
Yeah, man. I'm on board with you with Lane Thomas. It's funny. I guess we're talking about 27-year-olds today, because Lane Thomas, that 27-year-old season where it's kind of starting to really, show. There was hype around him. There was some hype around him coming up through the minor league system. And I just think that, it's time to sell high. The Nationals aren't a good team. I don't think the counting stats stay as good as they are right now. The thing is, like Matt was saying with Mitch Keller, if Lane Thomas somehow gets traded and he finds himself on a contending team, it's a whole nother story. So I might say hold Lane Thomas for at least a week or two till we get closer to that trading deadline, see if his name is in trade rumors. If it is, I might hold. But you know what? If you could as Matt said, package him in a deal to get one of the or two of these guys that we're talking about here and coming up next, which is one of those guys on Phillies that was a high end pick. We got a Houston Astro that Matt and I aren't too fond of, but you know what? He's got some upside. And then we do have a New York Yankee thrown in here. But before we head on to that, Matt's got some great sponsors to talk to you guys about.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always changing and growing. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding. because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk things through. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on a journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited for your schedule, especially for people on the go. Just fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, and if you don't get along with your therapist, you can switch at any time for no additional charge, which is phenomenal. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnMLB today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com. So BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnMLB. And guys, like Dom and I are always preaching here, therapy is something that can, get you out of these dark places, help you work through problems that are, could be cumbersome or feel like a huge obstacle that, if you talk to somebody that's a professional, that can honestly help you point out a couple avenues to how to get through it and how to maintain anxieties and things like that. I suffer from anxiety, like constant crazy. I drive my wife absolutely nuts anytime there's a panic attack coming our way. So please reach out to BetterHelp. It really is a great program. All right. And with that being said, let's move on here. Let's talk about Mr. Trea Turner. Trea Turner seems to be somebody that is going to be hard to get off somebody's team, but I 100% say take a shot on this because he's not doing his full potential yet. And I think it's coming soon. I think second half is going to be a prime bounce back. Phillies usually are a second half team. This is the time of the year last year where they made that run to go to the wild card and, then the World Series. So Trea Turner may be feeling that Philly energy here. And it looks that way. He's making a lot of adjustments. He's not hitting for average yet like he normally is, but the stats are there. I mean, last week he had 2 runs, 2 bombs, 3 ribs, a stolen base, but the batting average was atrocious. And then, the week before that, it was 5 runs, no bombs, but a rib, 3 stolen bases, and batting about 245. Like, he looks good in every which way. I get to watch a lot of Phillies. Trea Turner just looks like, hey, he's just having a lot of bad luck. But that luck can flip at any moment. And if Trea Turner even gets to a 3/4 status of what he normally does for the second half and trading Lane Thomas and packaging Tyler Wells together, which is a possibility you might have both, can almost get the job done. You're going to have to add in probably a key name that's underperforming as well that you probably are ready to move on from. So Trea Turner may be somebody that's actually within your grasp. Now, if you're dealing with a Philly fan, good luck. It's not happening. But anybody else, you might be able to go in and sneak out a Trea Turner. So that's how I feel about Trea Turner.
Yeah, Matt, spot on take. I'm just going to add a couple little tiny tidbits here. Over the last 30 days, Trea Turner starting to look a little bit more like himself. 18 runs, 3 homers, 12 RBIs, 11 steals, and a 262 batting average. And let's not forget, Phillies were a little bit banged up at the beginning of the season. Bryce Harper's back. I think as a team, they're going to hit their stride here and really pick things up. As I mentioned, second half team, they made that nice little, World Series run last year. And I just truly think that, Trea Turner is going to be a big catalyst for that team batting second in that lineup. The RBI should be a lot better. The runs are going to be a lot better. He's been stealing more bases. The only thing that I'm not going to guarantee is too much more power from Trea Turner. If he finishes the year with like 18 home runs, that's going to be, very similar to what he's done over most years in his career. So Trea Turner are going to be, elite at 3 categories and then plus a chip in home runs and RBIs. But let's move on here and talk about this next guy. Let's talk about Jose Altuve. Jose Altuve's kind of had like an unfortunate year as far as injuries go. He had, that right thumb fracture coming into the year. And then, he's been dealing with some discomfort in his left oblique. Obliques can always be tricky. But if Jose Altuve can, pull it together and get healthy, over the last how many years at this point, the guy is just consistent. He's going to help you be a very big plus in batting average. He had 300 last year. He's going to help you in homers. He had 28 last year. He had 31 in 2021. The runs and RBIs are going to be pretty good for him on that, good Astros team. Even when Yordan comes back, I just truly think, like the Phillies, the Astros are going to have that nice big run in the second half like they always do. And you know what? Jose Altuve is just worth it. Second base is such a tough position to fill. And if you can get a guy that's potentially a number one second baseman for the second half, if he could stay healthy, I think you go out there and you make that move. Now, Jose Altuve is not somebody I'm going to overpay for with the injury history this year. But you know what? If you can sneak in, like Matt said, maybe like you start the trade with a Lane Thomas, you add in a Mitch Keller, something like that, and you just go from there. You kind of, you're going to have other players too. Once again, I keep mentioning it. If you have specific questions, you could send us your roster, and we would say, hey, on Subtext, if you subscribe to us on Subtext, you send us your roster and say, hey, who do you think I should trade for Jose Altuve? Who do you think I should trade for a Trea Turner? We'll give you those exact answers. But once again, join us on Subtext, man. This isn't the time to year to give up. This is the time of year to lock on in. While everyone else is going to fantasy football, you stay locked into fantasy baseball, and you win yourself some money and some championships. But let's move on to the next guy. It's nasty Nestor Cortes, and it just stinks, man. It just stinks. Oh, my bad, Matt. I saw we were running a little bit long. That's my fault, brother. Chime on in. What's your take on Jose Altuve?
Oh, God, this kid. All right. I'm kidding. I love you. I love you. Get a little anxious. It's
love
fine.
You too.
All right. Altuve.
Yeah, I know. My fault.
Altuve, trade for. I think he's going to bounce back. There is no trash cans, though. I would love to put him in one, but it is what it is. I love him. I love him. I love him for fantasy baseball. My guy is great. No, straight up. Like, let me just be real here. You have to trade for him because if he's healthy, he's going to be incredible. It's a hate-love relationship. Love him in fantasy, hate him in real baseball. But let's move on. Let's talk about Nestor Cortes. Nestor is somebody that I'm a little upset about. He started off the year hurt and then comes back, plays like absolute caca-doo-doo, and then, goes and gets hurt again. And it kind of explains it because he started off with the shoulder injury to start the year, and now the injury flares right back up again. So maybe he's turning a corner here because I'm reading right now that he's totally pain-free, do 20 pitches in the simulated game. So that's really encouraging. Let's hope that he can progress through these motions and, perform well. So I think that Nestor Cortes should be back by the end of this month if I had to place a bet on it. And I think that what's going to happen is my guy is going to, really take it on here and be that guy. So 100% go out and trade for Nestor Cortes.
Yeah, Matt, great take on Nasty Nestor. I just think he's had unfortunate luck with that rotator cuff injury. I'm just going to read you what Cortes did in 2021 and 2022 combined just to show you how good this guy is. Nasty Nestor had 14 wins, 7 losses, 2.61 ERA, 42 starts, 251 innings pitched, 266 strikeouts, with a 0.97 whip and a 3.37 FIP. So all the indicators look good on, Nasty Nestor. He's that guy. He's that guy when he's healthy and he's doing his thing right. Yankees have had bad luck with injuries this year, but I think when Nestor comes back, you can get him for probably super cheap. To be honest with you, I would trade Keller straight up for him. I would trade Wells straight up for him. I would trade Ober straight up for him. If you can make any of those moves at the moment, you definitely want to go ahead and do that. But let's move on to, potentially our last guy. Let's see how things work out here. Let's talk about Freddy Peralta. Freddy Peralta is somebody that I think he's just kind of been unlucky this year. I can't even really explain it, to be honest with you. The ERA is inflated at a 4.70 and, the whip is at a 1.30. I just truly think it's could be something small mechanically they're going to work with him over the All-Star break with, because the last 3 years outside of this year, he's been great. Or the last 3 years, Freddy Peralta has had 17 wins, 10 losses, a 3.18 ERA, 45 starts, 61 games overall. He did come out of the bullpen for some of those games, 251 innings, 328 strikeouts with a 1.01 whip. I think it's a small correction for Freddy Peralta at 27 years old. I think it's going to be something very small that's going to just take him to get it going. There's been a few blow-up starts. There's been a lot of good starts for him this year. Kind of just been inconsistent. I really think he can find that consistency. Don't like him as much as I like Nestor, but I think Freddy Peralta, has the potential to be a top 30 pitcher if he can really figure this thing out. I think Freddy Peralta is a guy you need to trade for.
Great take, Dom. I completely agree. Go ahead and wrap this thing up.
All right, folks, so that is all for us today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Thank you to our everydayers and our new listeners for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. And be sure to look out for a new episode tomorrow. I think we're going to mix things up, that rather than take our normal route of waiver wire ads, I think we're going to do some fun stuff surrounding the All-Star break, some fun stuff, telling you guys, what to do going into this second half, how to win, those championships, and just strategies that Matt and I followed over the years that have helped us win championships that will help you guys get those everyday championships. Matt, you want to chime in with something before we head out?
Yeah. Honestly, listen to this episode because, quite honestly, Dom and I have a lot of championships between the two of us, and I love when people tune out for football because that's when I start taking advantage.
Oh, yeah.
So, and
capitalize.
And also, too, even if you're out of it, we have some tips and tricks for you too. So, just stay tuned. But Dom, with that being said, guys, peace.
See ya.